Over the weekend, President Biden was working on his State of the Union address at Camp David, surrounded by key advisors. The speech, of course, always an opportunity for the president to make his case ahead of re-election to voters. Senior advisor and assistant to President Joe Biden, Tom Perez, former cabinet secretary, joins us now. He's also the director of the White House Office of Intergovernmental Affairs. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being here. Now working for the president in the White House. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
So, Secretary, let me play something for you. This is from the State of the Union in 2023, a key moment. Let's listen.
Some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal.
That was 2023. That wasn't even an election year. Now it's an election year. Is the president preparing not just to make his case to the country, but for a rough and tumble experience in a chamber dominated by congressional Republicans, including by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we just saw standing up and shouting at the president?
Well, I remember that moment vividly, Robert, because the president ended up negotiating in real time with those Republicans to take cuts to Medicare and Social Security off the table. It was a remarkable moment where the president was thinking on his feet and really put them in their place. And, I hope that we'll have a respectful conversation tomorrow night. And the president's going to talk about, where we were, where we've come, and what we need to do. And as you know, where we were in 2021, the president took office 2 weeks after an insurrection. We had COVID in full swing. We had so much loss of life and, frankly, loss of hope for a lot of people. And where we've come is, we now have an unemployment rate 2 years in a row under 4%. That hasn't happened in 50 years. The infrastructure bill, the American Rescue Plan, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, the Safe Communities Act. The president has implemented an agenda that has really transformed lives, transformed communities. And I've been traveling across the country to see all these things and to talk about the investments that we're making. And they've really transformed lives, whether it's making sure people have internet, people have health care. But we've got more work to do. And the president will be talking tomorrow night about the unfinished business, democracy, the economy, health care, so many issues that we have unfinished business.
What about former President Donald Trump? Let me read to you a statement from President Biden earlier today. He was making his pitch to Nikki Haley's supporters. He said, quote, Donald Trump made it clear he doesn't want Nikki Haley's supporters. Let's show this on screen. I want to be clear. There is a place for them in my campaign. So you see the president today explicitly making his case to traditional Republicans who might have questions about former President Trump's character, his conduct, about January 6th, issues related to democracy. You talked about health care. You talked about the economy. What about January 6th democracy? Will we hear that in the State of the Union?
I mean, democracy, freedom, and our economy are all on the ballot. Remember, Ronald Reagan was, the evil empire, the Soviet Union. He understood the importance of NATO, and now you have Donald Trump saying to Putin, do whatever you want in NATO. You have, democracy was a big part of what motivated Joe Biden to run. The aftermath of Charlottesville in Virginia, and now the insurrection as well. And so these things are very real. Freedom is on the ballot. The freedom that women and families have to make decisions about their own reproductive health. IVF is a huge issue, and these issues, the differences couldn't be greater. Do you want a president who's going to engage NATO, make sure that we continue the greatest alliance in the world, or do you want a president who's going to be Putin's poodle?
Secretary
do you want a president who's, yes.
Let's stick with foreign policy for a moment.
Sure.
You talked about Ukraine. There's clearly a divide even within the GOP over how to handle Ukraine. What about Israel's war with Hamas? I want to show something on screen. Minnesota's Democratic primary results from Super Tuesday. There was a large chunk of Democratic voters who supported uncommitted, and we've seen in some contests some real frustrations among rank-and-file Democrats, some progressives about how the Biden administration, which you work inside, has been handling Israel and its war with Hamas. Is the president going to speak to those Democrats who have criticism of his handling of that issue in particular?
Well, the president understands that there are many people who have lost loved ones in Gaza, lost loved ones in Israel. I traveled along with another group of senior leaders from the White House to Dearborn a few weeks back. We're going to be traveling to other cities to listen and understand and get an even more granular understanding of the pain that they're obviously feeling. The president has said regularly that we are working 24/7 to forge a durable ceasefire, an opportunity to release hostages, an opportunity to expand humanitarian aid. You've seen the airdrops, and an opportunity to build what we hope will be a durable peace, where we embrace and we get all the parties to embrace a two-state solution. It won't be easy, but I respect the people in Michigan, the people in Minnesota who have, heartfelt and very real concerns. We are listening to those concerns, and we're working tirelessly to bring forth that ceasefire as soon as possible.
Secretary Tom Perez at the White House working closely with President Biden and his top advisors. We appreciate your preview of the State of the Union and for stopping by. Thank you.
My pleasure.